Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We've got an unbelievable show for you. I'm Harvey Freed. To my right, Becky Alley.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. We're getting the last of the hot September days, right? Weather is right around the corner.
I wore my summer shirt, Becky. You're already like, oh, you look like you're ready for the season. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I picked the wrong season shirt here, but we'll go with it.
You're happy like an Easter egg.
I am. I look like an Easter egg a little bit. Maybe the wrong thing. Hey, Lisa Lawson, look who you brought in today also, Lisa. Introduce your guest.
I brought in Jacques Gagnon.
All right. Realty Executives.
Hometown.
Out on, hometown,
Shelby
all around
Township.
the east side. And Realty Executives, they have offices everywhere in Southeast Michigan.
Yeah, so Realty Executive has 5 offices: Troy, Port Huron, Chesterfield, Washington, and Shelby Township. So it's a great organization to be with.
I will say that every time I have a transaction, I meet someone new over there, and a lot of experience at all of your offices, because usually when I'm working with someone from your office, they've been around 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, so you're going to get agents that have a different history in the organizations. They have a little more time on the field, let's say. That's
always fun in real estate and mortgages, especially when the clients are coming back to you. And I can only imagine that in your office, you've got, like, you've talked to some of your colleagues and stuff, and, you know, they just sold a house, and it was the same house that they listed a year ago, and it was the same one they sold 10 or 15 years ago. I love that when the families stick together and refer the local clients.
Yeah, so
or local agents.
Growing up with a mother that's an agent since
right.
the 80s, she's going to hate me for saying that. She's been in the industry for a very long time. She was barely old enough to sell a house in the 80s, we'll say that. But having her third generation buyers come back and sellers come back, and starting to see because we're working with her, you see that it's pretty cool once you get generational business.
I think that's awesome. Kind of cool though. I mean, because if you think about the cycle she's seen, I mean, there's literally not one moment in this, like, you know, history of housing that she hasn't seen or clearly overcome. So to, you know, have that tried and true to be, you know, pushing forward, you know, now into, you know, like the 2020s. I mean, that is a beautiful thing. And then I would pass that gift to you. And so you've seen it all, you've done it all. And then, you know, she's also to be relevant still. I mean, that's the biggest thing is, you know, being able to change with the market and stay relevant with what the history is doing and what the future is, you know, rolling out. So
absolutely.
And then she's one of the best in the area, and you've learned from the best, obviously, and picked up all her best qualities, which is what makes you an amazing agent.
Yeah, she's a sweet lady, but she's a shark.
Sure, your competition,
she calls the BS
right?
out.
Right, yeah.
She's your competition.
Let's not hype her up too much. Okay?
Yeah. Enough of that. Well, we got Jacques on again, Realty Executives out in Shelby office. Recently, you had moved, and again, you've been in real estate for a long time. And you're a property manager. We started to touch about that on the podcast the other day. And let's just go right there a little bit, because I wanted to go a little nuts and bolts today. Go back to old school. Let's get some families into housing. Got some people on the sideline, some people diving in, you know, head first. So there's a lot of different ways and emotions out there in real estate. But one thing for sure, renting a unit, if you want to become a renter, there's a lot of money that you need, and the credit check and everything else involved. Let's hit that, hit the audience with a little of that.
So the reality of the rentals is this. Like years ago, it was, we just need to see your couple pay stubs. We need to see this and that. There is no minimum income. Most landlords, and all landlords that I represent, it's a 3 times the monthly rent income verification. So you need to make, if it's $2,000 a month, the rent is, you need to make $6,000 a month.
Right up front.
Up front, yeah.
To qualify.
Moving in, it's going to cost you about $6,000 because you got a month and a half security deposit, first month plus fees. A lot of places don't allow pets. There's more hurdles to get into a rental than there is to get pre-approval right now.
I mean, and that's kind of alarming. You know, the fact that, you know, people, like, you don't even hesitate to, I'm going to rent. And they don't even bat an eyelash to go through all these hoops. But then you have a buyer, because that stigma and that it's such a normal thing to be like, oh my God, a mortgage is, I don't want to do this and I don't want to that. So there's such a defense against the loan officer and trying to obtain a mortgage for some individuals, where it's almost like you're the bad guy. But then you have a landlord that's saying, like, I need this and I need that and I need this. And they don't even, and no one even
bats an eye at it.
Yes, you don't even hesitate.
Yeah, I put a rental up and I had about 35 applications.
Crazy.
Within a week.
And people think, it's so much easier to get a rental, but they
No,
can't have.
it's not.
They can't have bankruptcies,
No evictions.
Correct,
No
evictions.
felonies are sometimes an issue.
Yep.
Smoking's an issue.
These are even hurdles. If you buy your own house, it doesn't matter if you smoke in your own house.
You can smoke whatever you want and get pre-approved. You can be arrested for whatever and still get a pre-approval.
Let's get real. How many people actually get security deposits back? Everyone's like, oh, I don't count that. I'm going to get the money. No, you don't. You might get some of it back.
You may get some of it back, but that's the whole security deposit thing comes into play with the landlord that you're going with.
Correct.
And you don't know. The landlords get to verify who you are, but as a renter, you don't really get to verify who your landlord is.
Good
right?
point.
Until you're 3-4 months in, and then you're calling your landlord because your hot water tank's leaking, and they don't call you back.
Yeah.
And your air conditioning went out.
Or
do
they have a landlord license? I mean,
Or
a lot of people are just.
they're doing repairs at the house, so they send their cousin over who's not a certified contractor to do electrical repairs in the house that you have your child living in. So you have to be careful when you are
Such a good point.
potential tenant too. So yes, renting is what I do besides traditional real estate, and it is a good option for some. But
It's not
when
the
you're
long
looking
game.
at like any of my rentals, you have to have a 600 credit score minimum. If you have a 600 credit score with a $6,000 a month or $5,000 a month income, don't worry about it. We'll figure something out.
I was with a young couple. Go ahead, Beck. I was just going to say, I was with a young couple yesterday, and they're renting in Troy area. And sure enough, I said, well, you guys, you're getting closer, and what are you paying? It's $1,800 now for this 2-bedroom. They already got information. It's going up to $2,600 to $2,800. It's crazy money. They're like, Harvey, we're already looking at housing, and it's just the way to go.
What I wanted to bring up is I'm seeing a lot of people that are renting and transitioning into their own homes. But they whatever's happening on the landlord side, wherever they're renting, they're going to court or they're getting evicted or something is happening. And then all of a sudden there's this huge pressure on the loan side to where they want us to close in 2 weeks because whatever was happening on their previous wherever they're living, their landlords, literally I have 3 of them and it's creating this emotional, we need to close in 5 minutes. And the new buyers are not giving themselves enough time to transition into the permanent housing that they're seeking. And then they're trying to fling their fingers around, but it's blaming somebody when in reality, you got to have some time to go through the mortgage process just because even when you're describing a rental process, when you're applying for a rental, that clearly takes time from what you're describing.
And you need time to find the right house.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you get pre-approved, the odds are you're going to go out and look that weekend and you're not going to find the house that's going to be perfect for you. And even if you do, it's even less of a chance they're going to accept your offers.
So it's the whole reactive versus proactive approach when you're buying. And what a lot of landlords are doing, besides the eviction thing, besides whatever else is happening, the property values are up. Landlords are selling their properties. We went through, in landlord's defense, we went through COVID and rental payments stopped a lot of the times. And guess who had no recourse of action?
Landlords.
That's still blowing my mind. That's a jive. That should never happen.
Because I work for both sides, right?
Yeah,
so I am pro landlord. Let's not get this wrong.
Yep.
But when you're buying a house, if you're doing it reactively, you're going to make hasty decisions, just like we saw with the inventory crunch, with people giving money way over asking. Instead of being proactive, where you get the education on how this is going to be, check what the house sold for before. When's the last time I had a tax assessment? Because that monthly payment means a lot, especially with higher interest rates. And buyers are saying, we'll just figure it out. We'll just figure it out. That is not the right approach. This is not a car
Figure
you're
it
buying.
out.
This is a home loan.
Yeah, and then your taxes double in a year, and all of a sudden you can't afford your house and you're listing it for sale
So
again.
again, proactive versus reactive. You have to be proactive and get educated first.
One of the things that I remember being a first-time home buyer when I bought mine way back in the day, and families still do this, they say to the sellers, hey, do you have your utility bills? I'm trying to budget my house. I'm trying to budget this whole thing. I know we got some small association fee, everything involved. Because I had a renter once, and this has come up with a few different families that were renting. They're like, Harvey, we thought we got into this great rental. It was $1,500-$1,600. We could afford it. And then there's no insulation. All of a sudden, their heating bills are $600 a month. Just crazy stuff sometimes goes down. And it's all about the bigger picture. And having more of this knowledge in front of you will help you with these better decisions.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the things. And my biggest pet peeve right now is you have to give yourself the time to go through the proper qualifications, because then you can't say, because if someone is telling you what the loan program is, but you're in this different state of mind that you're not comprehending, then you're only doing yourself a disservice, because it's no one else's fault but your own at the end of the day, because you're not giving yourself enough time to go through the process to understand what's happening. And then you're upset because you're living somewhere else temporarily because you got kicked out of your current property, or they sold it, or whatever was happening. Now you're living somewhere else temporarily, and then you're putting the pressure on everyone to close in 5 minutes on a new property, and you're creating a frustration for yourself. It's almost for the same with the buyers, where you know, like there's those deadlines and we're trying to meet these contracts, but when it's almost like the same thing when you are hiring a moving truck and you're putting all that pressure on, well, I got to schedule this mover. I got to schedule this mover. Well, we're not there yet. And you're creating this stress for yourself. So just take a second, let it happen, and just, you know, breathe it in and don't put the cart before the horse, because there's so many moving parts. There's so many things that's going to happen. And you have to be very cognizant of each step as it's coming at you, for sure.
All right, 248-539-9797. We'll take all your calls in here. We're sort of just lighting up the show a little bit about first-time home buyers and even second and third-time families, Lisa, that have already bought a house and then they might have had some catastrophe hit, job loss, illness, bad things happen to great people. We see it all the time. But you can get a house after a Chapter 7. You can get a mortgage after a Chapter 13. Let's just talk about the Chapter 13, because that one with the FHA loan limits allows everyone to become a homeowner.
Almost, yeah. I mean, you know, everyone has this idea that the Chapter 13 has to be discharged first, but you can actually get a mortgage while you're in Chapter 13 after a year of payments that you show, hey, the court, I've been making all these payments for a year. The court does have to give permission for you to purchase a home, but you can move forward after 12 months. 12 months is nothing,
No,
you know? And,
not at all.
you know, and people get so frustrated. They're like, oh, I thought I had to wait. You know, I thought I had to wait. That's not the case. So you have to deal with people who understand guidelines and take the time to explain them properly so you know what all of your options are.
So touch on real quick, right? That all bankruptcies are not equal.
Correct.
So, you know, you have the Chapter 7 and the Chapter 13 are the more popular ones, right? For
Yes.
people that are trying to buy houses. So why is there more of a waiting period for a Chapter 7 than a Chapter 13?
So Chapter 7, you discharge all your debt. You don't owe it back. You pretty much say, hey, I got in way over my head and I can't afford this anymore. And the court gives you a do-over. You know, they pretty much discharge everything except student loans, and you don't have to pay it back. Chapter 13, you do. You go under a payment plan through the courts, and you pay all that money back. It might be that you're almost in over your head, but you have the resources to do it. You just need a little assistance, and that's what 13 is. And that's why with the 13, you can get a home or purchase a home or get a mortgage sooner than a 7, because you're not saying sayonara, I just screwed up. You know, you're saying I'm trying to make right and pay all this stuff back, and that's why there's a difference.
And you get there by having a conversation with professionals that know the difference between what is now and what is later, and coming up with that game plan.
All right, we're going to go over funds to close. We're going over credit. We're going to talk about real estate, what's going on here in our own backyard on this gorgeous Saturday morning. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the show. We've got so much to share with you. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. You can catch us all at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker in all 50 states. If you're thinking about buying that vacation home, give us a call, Capital, 1-800-LOW-RATE. That's 1-800-569-7283, right here in your own backyard. Jacques Gagnon, of course, Jacques. You join us here from Realty Executives. Your name's really easy to say. Just like
you're gonna continue to struggle. I mean, we're
when
on
I
10
just-
shows
He's
together, but
overthinking
he's
it.
still
Harvey.
tripping
It's
It's a
over
very
himself. It's
regal
okay.
name.
It's
Okay,
a
very
reasonable
regal.
name. He's French. Hey, we're talking about first-time home buyers. We're talking about actually people that have done this before, but came across something bad in their life, and all of a sudden their credit got funky. They don't have the funds to close. Guys, I wrote them all down. USDA, FHA, VA. These are zero down programs, 3% down. Lisa, conventional 97s, 3% down conventional loans. Lisa, anyone could almost buy a house. And then let's get into all the new down payment assistance programs. There's a program that fits your needs.
Yeah, there's so many of them. Everyone knows about MSHDA here in the state of Michigan. If you live in another state and happen to be listening or streaming, MSHDA is not specific to Michigan. There are bond programs in every state. State of Illinois has one, Ohio has one, Indiana has one. So every state has their own bond program where you can get some form of assistance on top of just what we always talk about here, being locally in Michigan. On top of that, there's a program called Arrive. There's a Chenoa Fund. These are national programs. There's
Right.
one called Lakeview. It's a national down payment assistance program. Some work with FHA loans, some work with conventional loans. Every program could be $7,500, could be $10,000, could be a percentage of the sales price, depending on the program. So there are not only state programs, local programs like City of Port Huron. There's a program called the Pioneer Program.
Right.
If you can get money. There are so many programs. You have to talk with someone who understands and has the resources to find the right programs for you.
Jack, let's talk about these purchase prices. They're going through the roof, and that's why we say down payment assistance comes into play here, because even if you're a first-time home buyer and you're working with 15 or 20 grand, you might need that little assistance.
Yeah, so really quick, before we get to that, the first-time home buyer, clarify what our first-time home buyer is on these MSHDA programs, because everybody thinks it's your first time ever buying a house.
No, you
and that
can't-
is not true, correct?
You cannot own property for 36 months.
So
if
3
you're-
years.
Yep, 36 months and 1 day, you are now considered a first-time home buyer.
So
again.
everybody out there listening, if you bought a house before, that doesn't mean you're not going to qualify for these down payment assistance programs. You have to be a first-time home buyer in the sense that you couldn't have bought a house 36
own
months
property.
plus 1 day.
Right.
So if you sold the house in August of 2020,
You're good.
August of 2023, at the end of that month or whatever the day is, so if it was the August 15th of 2020, you sold it, August 16th of 2023, you are born again, brand new homeowner.
I love it. Born again.
Yeah, so don't tune out if you bought a home before. That we're still talking about you. It could be you too. So it's for a lot of people, and there's a lot of programs out there.
Some
so.
of these programs also, you do not have to be a first-time
Correct.
home buyer
Some of the down
to-
payment assistance programs, you could own a home right now, sell it, and still use down payment assistance to buy your next home.
Right.
So you don't have to be a first-time home buyer for down payment assistance. And that's a huge misnomer. I'm glad you brought that up. There's almost a program that fits every single need. You know, the problem is people are nervous. They're afraid. They don't want to make the call. They don't want to ask. They don't want to be a bother. They think it doesn't apply to them. We can help you. And even if it doesn't apply to you right now, maybe your credit needs a tweak, or maybe, down payment assistance does not cover every little thing.
So if you have time to click on that Facebook ad that says, what color of the rainbow are you, or what candy bar fits your needs,
What
Fits
kind
your
of potato are
personality.
you?
what kind of potato are you? It takes longer to fill that out than it does to speak with an expert, right?
Absolutely.
Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Only
So
takes a few seconds.
You have the time. So just again, what we talked about on the podcast, it's just getting over your own barricades,
Yeah.
right?
You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
call us. And maybe the answer is you're ready now. I had someone call the other day. They're like, I just want to get my ducks in a row for next year. I know I'm not ready now. I'm like, we went through everything. I'm like, you're ready now. They were dumbfounded. It's pre-approval sent. They're looking. They actually went and looked at
I'm just going to wait till the market crashes. Well, we're going to be visiting you at your grave.
I was going to say, we've been saying
Tell-
that for
telling
3
you about the
years.
market
Shock.
not
I got a
crashing.
stinker because I got a first-time buyer. She's ready to go and excited. And I hooked her up with one of my realtor friends, a partner, and we do some business together. And sure enough, they started looking at houses. The first one is the one. And it's like, now I have to and Evan called me and he said, hey, Harvey, well, we think we found the one that's updated, moving condition in that price range. Boy, sometimes you got to get that extra confidence. I reached out to her yesterday. I'm going to reach out again and say, look, drive over there tonight and take a look, because if it's been on the market for about 20 some days without any offers, there might be at 209, they might be looking at a $200,000, maybe 205. Maybe we're only $5,000 or $10,000 away from making it happen for somebody that is getting back into home ownership again. It's really fun and exciting, but sometimes, boy, they find that great house too fast.
I don't know. I mean, people feel like
it's
they
a
have
blessing.
to, yeah, you don't have to look at 27 houses to know you found the right one. So if right out the gate, if it feels good, it looks good, it's fitting your needs,
It checks all your boxes.
put an offer in, because you're going to regret it, because then you are going to be someone that's looking at 10 houses and then you're like, why? I wish I would have. You don't have to look at 25 houses to make that offer. And right now you can, the little bit of higher rates, and they're not even that high. Let's just talk about that. But they've been your friend, because right now you can still get these offers
The
with
best
concessions.
time to buy
Yes.
right now is what I tell people. So yeah, there's the elephant in the room. We're just going. Interest rates are higher. Yes, we know that. But the prices on homes, what we're seeing is we're not seeing those appraisal guarantees anymore. We're not seeing that. You're actually seeing houses. If you want to go see 20 houses, we can see 20 houses. And buyers, if there's houses on the market that are past 2 weeks, it's not a bad house. Things have changed in the market, right? So we have houses that are sitting on the market for 30, 45 days, and some buyers will say, there's got to be something wrong with it. Let's go find out.
Maybe last year that might have been the case. That's not the case now.
Yeah, now we're seeing more days on market, and that's okay.
Yeah.
that's the way a normal market should be. We had all this influx of demand because of low credit or low interest rates and high inventory. Now we have a little bit higher interest rates. This is a good thing for the market. We're getting healthy
Stabilizing.
Yeah.
again. A normal market is a
Right.
good market, believe it or
Right.
not.
What could be
But
better
what I
than
love about you, though, just real quick, is because you're having these intelligent, tough conversations, right? You're debunking this like stigma of, oh, this house has been on the market for 2 weeks and something's got to be wrong with it, because they don't know what else to think, right? So when someone like yourself are like, no, I've seen a stinker, right? I've seen something that's bad. This is not the one. It just, for whatever reason, it didn't fit someone else's needs, but this is perfect for you. But it's having those conversations and really kind of lifting the wool up, and so people can really see it for themselves, because it might not be the house for me, but it's definitely the house for you.
Right.
And you have to get people to understand that and see that. And it doesn't mean that something's wrong with these properties, because there's not.
Everybody at this table has had a client who made an offer on a house maybe 6-8 months ago when things were a little crazier, and then was told to head to highest and best, and they're like, that's it, I'm not doing anymore, and then lost that house over what, $1,000, $2,000, and now they haven't found anything yet, and it's 6 months later, and we have updated their pre-approval 3 times, and they're like, I got to take a break, and they still go back to the one that got away.
They wish they would have spent $5,000 over asking.
And
They would have gone even
We
higher.
crunched the numbers, and I'm like, that really made your payment $7,000. You're $7 more or $12 more, whatever it is, and they kick themselves. So sometimes you have to lean on the experts.
Yeah, getting out of your own way and hired a professional.
Right.
Trust us,
So if
we're
your
doing it
agents-
for you. If you hire someone that believes in the fiduciary duty of taking care of your
Correct.
client first, which I'm a big advocate of, as you guys know, we'll help you create the obstacles. We'll get them out of the way for you so that you can find the solution. That's what we're here for. And sometimes you need that out of touch
Right.
person that needs to tell you, hey, this is a good deal. You should-
You love this house. You won't
or
stop
hey,
talking
walk
about this
away
house.
from it.
Yeah, it's
Right.
higher level conversations, but then it's also getting past, like, you can talk to a million people and you'll find someone that's going to tell you what you want to hear, but it's not what you need to hear. And it's really easy when you're not hearing what you want to be like, oh, I'm going to find someone to tell me what I want to hear. And you're not going to
Especially
get,
now.
you're not going to get really what you want at the end of the day.
Okay, hey, what could be better than a barbecue in your backyard? I don't know. Watching the Lions game tomorrow and a W, that could be it. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. All righty, welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital. You can reach us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Harvey Freed, Becky Yaley, Lisa Lawson from Capital Mortgage, Jacques Agnon, of course, Realty Executives. Easy for me to say, 248-539-9797. We take all your calls. Jacques, you're an awesome dude. Congratulations on the third baby.
Yeah.
And you're a great dad. And that's really what it's all about, is building these communities. Again, there's a million agents out there. All these lenders are jumping up out of like little zits on kids. Anyways, hey, look, too many people in our industries causing some chaotic things.
It is,
Also, we've
and-
heard some weird stuff.
Yeah, and this market is changing, which is we're seeing like drop-offs of lenders and we're seeing drop-offs of agents. You know, where our agent count per NAR is down a lot, which is okay to me. I know NAR doesn't like it, but we need to de-weed the garden. Let's put it that way, right?
Okay.
There's too many weeds in the garden that need to be pulled so that the beautiful flowers can grow. And we're sitting at a table full of beautiful flowers right now, right?
I'll take that.
So the fly-by-night people, or the ones right now, there's desperation. So if the buyers were desperate last year to buy the house, now there's certain lenders and real estate agents that are desperate to make money because they haven't cashed a check in 6 to 8 months and they didn't save a dime. And anytime you're working with someone that is working out of desperation, buyer side, seller side, agent, lender side, you have to be very careful. So if you are a buyer and you're in an uncomfortable situation, it doesn't hurt to get a second opinion. I'm not saying go behind your agent's back or your lender's back, but always get a second opinion,
Yeah.
Due
especially if it's
diligence.
not comfortable. Your well-being is your greatest asset, and buying your home is going to be your greatest asset. So work with someone that understands that and puts your needs before their own.
All right, guys, here's a little mortgage stuff. How to improve your income on a mortgage approval. Well, that's always not so easy. Increase your earnings is always a good thing. There's a lot of side hustles out there that are giving opportunities for family. I know the restaurants are looking for waiters. Folks, these are jobs that you can pop in at 4:30 in the afternoon. You're out of there at 9 or 10 o'clock. Some people have full-time jobs are looking. They just need that little extra money to come up with, just that extra 4 or 5 or even the 1% down, Becky. There's some opportunities out there. Also, save for a larger down payment, of course, boost your credit score. These are things that you can do to help position yourself for a better opportunity.
Now, if you are going to take on a side hustle, you can use that side hustle for your down payment money if you've only been on that job for a year or less. But if you are working multiple jobs, you have to have a 2-year history, consecutive, no breaks, because the likelihood of someone working multiple jobs is nil. So that's why they make you show a history of it consistently. And I just had a client where they're working 3 jobs for the last 5 years, right?
Oh, good. We can use that.
Yeah, for sure. And so we closed and it was great. But then I have someone that just started a second job and you can't use that money, but they can use that money you can't use it as income,
Right.
but you can use it for their down payment to help them get their 1%.
So not measurable income in the sense of that, but you can use it for your down payment, and more importantly, you can use it to help pay your mortgage bills and your utility bills. You know,
Yes.
so maybe you need to pick up a side hustle gig where it's on Uber Eats or even Uber In or luxury rides or whatever it is. There's opportunities out there. So yeah, your payments are going to be a little higher right now, but there's sacrifices that can be made both monetarily and work wise that can get you to where you need to be.
Yeah, even self-employed. I get a lot of questions of, I'm recently self-employed. I've been self-employed for a year. Can I use this income? Well, there's always kind of exceptions to the rules, but you're usually for self-employed, you want to have a 2-year history, but you can make an exception if you were in your previous employment, you were a W-2 employee, and let's just say you were a key maker, okay? And now here you are, you start your own business, you have a year tax returns.
Making keys.
You can, making keys, doing the same exact thing. Now you can get by with just the 1-year self-employed tax return. But again, we're only using the net gross or the net profit after all your write-offs as your income. You can't just be like, oh, I grossed 100,000. Well, if you wrote off 70, guess what? We're using 30 for your income. So
Yeah.
you got to have the conversations because the tax code does, it favors the independent contractor. You can write things off that a W-2 employee can't. But at the same time, if you're trying to obtain financing, it can hurt you if you're not having the right conversations.
Yeah, so if you're a 1099 employee, so real estate agents, we all are, most of us are, it's very tempting to take a lot of write-offs. But it's also, on the other end, if you take a lot of write-offs, your income, provable income, measurable income for loans, car
Qualifying
loans, home
income.
loans, all of these things comes into play. So 1099 employees, if you're thinking about buying a house in the next year, you got to talk to your lender before you do your taxes.
And
So
your CPA.
and your CPA,
Yeah, your
because
accountant. We're not
talk to your
accountants.
accountant, talk to your lender,
Yep.
and make sure that your trying to reduce your tax liability is not going to hurt your chances of buying that home. Right?
Just a reminder out there, we're coming up against that time of the year. Not only are the student loans back in play,
yeah, next month.
so that's right. The interest started accruing in September. Your October 1st payment on your student loans. Reach out, get those payments all set up, whatever you got to do, make sure you're doing the right thing, get your deferment letters. But also the property taxes just became due, Becky. September 15th in most cities was the property due date for those summer tax bills. If you have an escrow account, you can still double check. Now, remember, your lender still sends you, or the city still sends you the tax bill. So take a look at that. Don't go down and start paying it if you have an escrow. Do that double check. Call your lender again, right back. They send the tax bill out on July 1st, due on September 15th. Some people don't get around to paying it. Figure that out and get that all set up.
I want to talk about taxes real quick because I feel like we brushed on it, but it's always a huge talking point. And if you, and what Jacques said, you need to make sure you're realizing the last time the person that you're buying the house from, when did they purchase the house? Had they been living in this house since the 1960s? And now here you are, paying quadruple what they paid for in 1950 for this property. That is going to have a huge impact on the taxes. And a lot of people right now that have overbought in 2020, right? They're locked in by these golden handcuffs of all this equity that they have, but they have this great interest rate. Well, now they also, because they overbought because the interest rates were so low, they now have these taxes that they can't afford. And now it's caught up to them and they're needing to sell for that specific reason. So Lisa, I want you to kind of touch on, what are we doing? What are the steps that we take for these new buyers and someone, even if it's someone that's a step down buyer, someone that has been their retirement age, but they still want to buy another house, but they're scared to death of these taxes because they are the ones that have the lower taxes right now.
Yeah, I mean, God bless my mother. She's owned the same property since 1973, so she's a perfect example. When someone goes to buy my mother's house, her taxes in Sterling Heights, which are already pretty low taxes, are extremely low, extremely low. When someone goes to buy her house, they are going to probably pay about 3.5 times the property tax.
Wow, that your mom's been paying, right? Yeah.
Because every year my mom's lived there, it's capped. It can only go up a little bit, little bit. Well, the minute someone buys that property, the property's transferred to some other ownership, the taxes are uncapped. And the city comes in, they get to reassess it based on current value. So my mom bought that house for 40-some-odd thousand in 1973. Her taxes are practically nothing. Someone else is going to buy this house, we'll say, for about $350. And they're going to be assessed at $350, times the assessed value.
Let's go there. Your mom's probably paying about $2,400 a year, summer and winter tax. That's right in that number. Yep. Again, she bought this place in 73. Correct. It's worth $350. She's capped because of Proposal A back in 1994. Right. That limits the amount of property taxes increase. Right. Someone comes and buys Ma's house, $2,400 now. What do you think if it sold for $350? What would that roughly be? What would the taxes end up being? I believe
when we calculated, it's going to be just under $6,000.
It's a little bit of a difference.
$500 or something.
Yeah, it's going to be. So, so here's the deal.
Okay.
So you're looking at buying houses, and all of a sudden, your listing agent sends you this listing, and you're like, in your we'll say less experienced loan officer crunches numbers, and they see that it's $2,400 a year, so they say it's $200 a month in taxes.
Right.
The reality is it's like $550 in taxes, right? So you get all excited, you're like, I can afford this house, it's perfect, and then no problem for about the first year, pretty close. But then you have what they call an escrow analysis. Yep. Every year, your mortgage company is going to analyze your escrows. And in that year, you will have gotten 2 tax bills, which will be at the higher amount. So now all of a sudden, you only have $2,400, right? That's what they thought it was. But for sake of simplicity, we'll say it's $6,000. You're going to be short, significantly short. So we're going to take that shortage, right? And they're going to double the shortage amount. So if we said it was $6,000 and what we say the taxes were $2,400 a year, right?
Yeah, so you go from $200 a month to $500.
Sorry, $3,600 short times 2.
Ouch.
Because not only do they have to make up the shortage that already happened, they have to make sure that you have that in your escrow account for next year when the taxes are due. So $3,600 times 2 is $7,200 short. Divide that by 12.
$600 a month.
And that's how much your bill's going to go up.
No one likes that letter in the mail, and you do get them. I mean, it's just part of buying a house.
And you have to have these conversations because right now people are trying to buy sunshine and rainbows, and they're qualifying just with those current taxes. And you have to have the conversations because we can force them to be reassessed at the higher tax rate. What we use is going to be probably a little bit higher than what the city might assess it at.
Safe than sorry.
Because we're overly conservative, and I'll give people the option. Do you want me to force these taxes to be higher? Or do you want the city to naturally do it on their own? It'll give you about a year. It's going to buy you a year in time, but don't be surprised because it's going to happen depending on how long they've lived in that house.
And really, when Becky says we're forcing it, it doesn't mean that we call the city out there and make them do it. It means that we collect what the anticipated higher amount in your escrow account. So when the bill comes out Like say you buy this house now and the bill comes out, what is it? July 31st
First.
of next year. Or
Yeah.
let's say December even.
Yeah.
If you just buy a house and are closing, we're not going to have all the numbers for December 1st's bill yet, right? So, but the money will be there. So when the bill comes out, you'll already have the money in your escrow account. And when the bill comes out next summer, the money will be there because we're collecting the anticipated higher amount.
Let's just say that if there's too much money in your escrow account, it gets analyzed once a year.
And
They
it gets
refund
sent
you the
back to
check
you.
back. If it's too short, you're going to get the nasty letter that
Yeah.
says, sorry, folks, show us another $250 every month moving forward until you catch up your escrow. It's
Right.
property taxes. They've got to be paid for. Just like income tax, you got to take care of it. All right. Do we live in the best area or what? I mean, the sun's shining this morning in the 70s. We got football season. By the way, Detroit Lions buzz is all over Southeast Michigan.
Super Bowl 2024.
I'll take that. You
Becky
got-
and I have been saying that
Here we
all
go.
last year.
You guys, let me just list them real quick. North American Detroit Auto Show. Get down there. How about Celine? They got that Oktoberfest. Romulus has a pumpkin festival. The Harvest Moon celebration in Farmington. Jacques, we can go there and drink some wine if you want.
Sure.
Troy Family Days at the Civic Center. Carnival Games. 5K run entertainment. Duran tonight
Okay.
at the LCA.
Come on down.
I like Duran.
I do too.
How about the Harvest Festival? Spicers. 50 Cent tomorrow, Pine Knob. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. If you
In the
want a
club.
mortgage, we'll hook you up. If you need to do something in entertainment side, we'll show you that too. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Is that okay, guys?
Yeah.
I thought he was.
All righty, welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Don't worry, folks. We've got sports coming up next. You're going to have Pat Caputo. You got Jim Costa. Chapman comes in before they bring on the Tiger game later tonight on the West Side. Tiger's on a little roll right now. if you're into baseball. I am a little bit. And of course, the Lion buzz is all over. Right here in the studio, even, they got the big Lion helmet going on. The buzz is happening all over Michigan. The buzz is happening if you want to buy a house in Southeast Michigan. The inventory, again, it's always been that issue out there. But every agent we bring on, you got a couple listings.
Yeah,
and then even last week, the agents were, hey, I got 3 or 4 new listings. Tell us about what you got.
Yeah, so if you're a hunter, hunting season is coming up, like October 1st, it's right down there. I have an awesome listing out in Lapeer. 3,000 square feet, custom built ranch. So no entry barriers. So great for the retiree, great for everybody. Sits on 40 acres of premium hunting land. On top of that, it's got 3 artesian fed wells. One of them is stocked with angler trophy-sized brook trout, rainbow trout, brown trout. $599 right now. That's what it's going for. It would be a $750,000, $800,000 house 2 years ago. $599, and you can get into it at closing.
And you get 40 acres up there. You get your own. That's a huge amount of property. Can you split these? I mean, that's one of the things. I always get the 10, 20 acre families calling me up saying, Harvey, got all this. I'm not using it. I would love to split 5 or 10 acres.
So you can split this specific property. You cannot split because of how much hunting land's on it. It's not a splittable lot per se. But I mean, I walk the property and it's the trees, the swamp, the river running through it, the ponds. It's awesome. And then the house itself, it's gorgeous, custom built, big beams. It's a really special house. And the best part about that, we were talking about utility bills earlier. It's got geothermal heating,
which is an amazing.
And that's a high price tag to get in yourself.
Yeah, so once it's in, they pay $200 a month. That's all they pay for the utility bills. All in on a 3,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
So, where's that located again?
That's at 2636 Baldwin in Lapeer. So it's right off of Baldwin.
Yeah,
beautiful
it's not too
lot.
far.
No, it's not at all.
It's like being
But you get the
completely
up north
away.
feel without being hours and hours up north.
Yeah, and I have another one coming up in Shelby. We're doing open house today and tomorrow. Lakefront, 55724. Don't quote me on that address, but it's on Starlight.
That's right.
We'll get
Little
in
lakes.
contact with them after.
Yeah, little lakes. There's fish on there. 1,800 square foot ranch. First time ever being on the market. Beautiful ranch. Parquet flooring. $319 is going to be the starting list price on that one. I say that because it's going to be a pretty heavy listing.
That's the new
That's
start.
why I love
That's the new
Michigan,
first-time
though.
home
Like,
buyers,
there's I mean, there's very few states that are left that you can get lakefront property, lake access property under $1 million.
Almost a half acre lot sitting on a corner on the lakefront under $400K.
It's a ranch.
With a ranch.
Wow.
3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,800 square foot. Where are you going to get that?
Can I pick on you a little bit here? Let's talk about price. Again, so there's different strategies out there. Sometimes, like, that house could go for $399. Multiple bids. Again, one more time, folks. 1,800 square feet in Shelby on one of the man-made lakes. A gorgeous ranch ready to go. Starting at $319, it's going to get bid up. That could be a $349, a $359 bidding war, because that's what it takes to buy a nice house.
Yeah, so there's listing strategies in place here, right? We're not getting the multiple offers that we did before just by throwing the numbers out there. So when you're pricing your home, and it's my professional opinion, it's not everybody's, but it's my opinion, is you don't price where the houses were 6 months ago. You have to maybe a price under that. If you want to generate buzz, then price under and let the market come to you. And if it's something that you're not comfortable with, well, those are deeper discussions. But yeah, it's all about pricing. Pricing it what was priced for 6 months ago, you're going to get 1 or 2 showings. Pricing it under, I'm at about 25 showings right now in that house.
But that's like, because you're going where the ball is going, not where it was at or behind you.
There's a reason why your rear view mirror is smaller than your windshield. You gotta look forward,
Absolutely.
not back, right? You gotta look forward and be educated and have those hard conversations. If your agent's telling you what you want to hear and not giving you their professional opinion, even though it may hurt them, that might be a red flag. You don't want a yes man in your corner. You want someone that's going to tell you the truth and be honest with you. And that's where the educated agent, lender, title person, that's who you need to have.
Yeah, because then it's going to be like, I hate you for closing my loan syndrome, or why didn't we get all these offers? Because then they're upset with you. And that's where I'm talking about. It's higher level conversations. It's having the tough conversations. It's saying, no, this isn't going to actually work for you despite what this other person said, because we're going to set you up for success and get you where you're going, because you need the down payment assistance, or you need to get the multiple offers, or you need to move in 30 days. These are the things that we have to do to get you there. So those are 2 really good properties. So if you're out and about today, go check them out. Because that is a beautiful thing, man. Both of them under $1 million, crazy.
Yeah, both great opportunities out there. Another thing out there, so that's scary to families and stuff, is making that offer and then seeing what happens. You can get an offer accepted, throw it out there. If your offer is accepted, you still have 5 to 7 days typically to do due diligence, to run your family through there another day. Again, don't not put your offer in because mom needs to see it. The house will be gone. You won't have that opportunity. Get your offer accepted. You still have, again, they'll take backup offers. There's plenty of activity out there. They don't want you to walk away. But again, now you have that opportunity. You got it accepted. Now you can drive by there tonight and see what's going on at 9 o'clock at night when the sun goes down. You can bring mom and dad in there. You can call your agent up and say, hey, tomorrow's Sunday, I got a little extra time. Can we get some family in there? We're going to do the inspection on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, you can pick where you're going to live, but you can't pick your neighbors, right? So it's important to, if you like a property, check it out. Drive by it. Like Harvey always says, some of the best people you're ever going to meet are your neighbors, and some of the worst people you're ever going to meet are going to be your neighbors.
Yeah, so I tell clients, drive
True
by
story.
the house during the weekend and drive by the house at nighttime. Those are the two times where things get a little crazy. So if you want to see what the neighborhood's really like without the sugarcoating, go take a drive on a Friday night.
Yeah, and you're not being a stalker. I mean, because that's going to be, if that is you are planting roots in that place, and you have every right to make sure that it is all the things that you either want to downsize in, raise a family in, and take your life to the next level. Get out of the renting, game. People are like, oh, marry the house, date the rate, or whatever. Divorce rent if you can, because the long game is never going to be a lifetime of being subject to what the landlord is going to dictate your life and your payment to be. You want to talk about an escrow shortage? How about you get that landlord letter? It's the same thing, but people don't, the conversation needs to change because people do not really, they react to that completely different than an escrow shortage or something like that.
Yeah.
And it kind of boggles my mind.
Lisa, it doesn't matter what we do or say to families. Families use debt. Debt will catch up on
Ew,
you.
yeah.
There's, we got travel sports out there. All of a sudden, that's an arm and a leg. Whether it be travel soccer, hockey, baseball, whatever you got going on. The cost of living is a lot. The gas now, it's $3.69 or more. In California, by the way, it's like $6 a gallon. The cost of living, even here, being on the low side, families get into debt. We want a little bit more. We want to redo things. This equity position, that's what I'm headed to, is debt consolidation. Yes, folks, cram the numbers. I did a couple last week. I'm going to move forward with one of the people out there. These home equity loans are 10 or 11%.
Yeah.
You can consolidate all of your debt at still a very reasonable interest rate. Becky, debt consolidation's back in vogue.
For sure. Because like what you're just saying, people have overextended themselves or taking out these personal loans at 30%, a $35,000 loan with an $892 payment I've seen.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a mortgage payment, but people don't hesitate with that. And I'm actually doing a refinance right now where, can we do home equity lines of credit here at Capital Mortgage Funding? Yes, but they are double digits, and you're going to get a double digit interest rate no matter where you go for a home equity line of credit, because what the Fed is doing is directly correlated and affects those directly.
Right. Short-term
So
lending.
in this scenario, for them to do a cash out refinance, unhinge the golden handcuffs, they're saving $750 a month. And they're going to have one payment and a car payment. They are literally taking themselves in the best financial position possible. But we had that conversation. It doesn't work for everybody, but in this case it does. And why put yourself in a position? Because she's like, well, my mom got sick, I got bills, and then I got laid off in 2020. I incurred all this debt, and I've been living off my credit cards for so long, and now I can't get out of it, Becky. What are my options? And we just had a real hard, tough conversation. I was like, get out a pen and paper. Let's talk about this. We crunched the numbers, and a cash out refinance, dare I say it. And when people are thinking the rates are so high, it still makes sense for people.
I mean, cash flow is huge. If you can
Yeah.
save somebody $750 a month, why wouldn't you? And, devil's advocate, mortgage interest rate is tax deductible. Credit card interest rate is not.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you might be paying a slightly higher rate. Maybe right now you got lucky and you have a 5 and now it's going to be a 7. But if you're saving that kind of money, right, and the payment is manageable and you can start saving again, why wouldn't you do it?
For sure. And you can use the equity versus taking out a personal
Correct.
loan.
Which is a higher interest rate.
Yes, and you can write that interest off still and make it make sense for you, because all you're doing is just adding debt and adding debt and adding debt. You have equity in the home, make it work for you, unlock those golden handcuffs, because that 5% interest rate or 4% interest rate is doing you zero good if you cannot afford your life.
Jacques, how about these folks now? It's competitive out there. They meet a guy like you. There's multiple offers. You already 29 showings on your house. Some of these offers are going to say they're going to waive inspection. Most of them, I think even you encourage a pass-fail inspection. You don't want any hard feelings after. You don't want someone doing the wrong thing. A pass-fail inspection solves all the problems.
Yeah, so, the reality is for buyers and even for being a listing agent, buyer's agent, both sides, always get a home inspection. One, it releases liability from the agents, the owners, everything. Two, My inspector that I use, and shout out to K2 and Kevin over at Home Inspection Professionals, some of the best. They will sit there, they'll walk you through the home. They will teach you. If you have an inspector that's not going to walk your buyer through the home and teach them about the home, and they're paying $550, $600, then that's doing a disservice to your client. But inspections are important. Pass, fail, yeah, that's important too. But it's all about get the inspection done, work with the professional who knows what they're doing, and then let the agents go to bat for you and see what comes out.
Lisa, I love
Yeah.
knowing where that water shut-off valve is. I know the function. I can never figure out how to put the furnace filter back in. Which way does it go? I don't know. There's no label
There's
on it.
even more to it than that. Don't
yeah,
you want to know?
the arrow points a certain way, but I don't know what the arrow
I don't know where
means.
it's going.
Air flows this way, this way. I'm not a trained
Yeah.
HVAC
Yeah.
professional.
But I mean,
what
there's-
does it mean?
There's so much more to it than that. I mean, you get to learn this might be a problem. It's working now, but it'd be a problem in the future. This is how old your roof is. I mean, there's just so much more.
You guys, that is another version of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show. I want to thank Jacques Gagnon, of course, Realty Executives, for joining us. You were great on the podcast. You're fantastic on the air. And
Always
he's
a pleasure.
Yeah, reach out to him. He's got 2 great listings out there. Again, more and more inventory, sort of hitting the market quietly out here, Becky.
He's one of the most stand-up agents we have on the show. I always appreciate when he's here. Very professional.
All right, for Lisa Lawson, Becky, I am Harvey Freed. We'll catch you next Saturday. Keep it here.